if you are just joining us, you are on to your favorite program, Democracy and the Rule of Law. So let us quickly look at, Vice Obira, the expectation of the 2023 general election, which was expected to be devoid of voter suppression, electoral violence, and malpractices were arguably dashed, as has been postulated by so many people, and from the report, both the global international observers report and even some local reports, you know, we are dashed, you know, as the expectation were not, you know, truly met, and hence the need to restore the confidence of voters in the electoral process, given the fact that, you know, the process of the election is the bedrock of every democracy. Yes. You must make sure that the election is free and fair, and yes, that is the whole essence of democracy. Yes. So what is your thoughts on ways in which, you know, voters' confidence can be restored in the process, given what happened in the last election?
Thank you very much. So far, prior to the elections of 2023, Nigerians were optimistic. And that election was one of the elections that one can only compare with the election that Abiola contested. Old men, old women, and Nigerians came out to exercise their mandate, to vote, extend their franchise. People came out. And a prelude to that was when the electoral body, INEC, got large sums of money, that are into billions, to get equipment, machines, and other things that will ensure transparency in the electoral process, starting with accreditation of voters, the voting process, collection of results, and transmission. These things were meant to be done automatically, without interference by individuals, so to say. And Nigerians were very hopeful. But at the end of the day, the hopes were dashed. With the result that some Nigerians came up with the conclusion that they would never vote again. In fact, I met a particular man who said, if not that his voter's card may be needed in future, he would have bought it. Meaning that there were great expectations and there were great disappointments. But then, all hope is not lost. There are still things that could be done to ensure that the hopes of Nigerians in the electoral process is restored. If you look at Nigeria, Nigeria is one of the few countries in the world that after elections, they will now go to the court to decide who will rule at whatever level. And all this are pointing to one great conclusion. And what is that? That INEC has so much at its hands, and there's need for adoption of the wise report as it comes to INEC, the electoral body. Want to unbundle INEC, separate that entity, that organization, that institution into 3 bodies, separate, distinct, with their different rules. One, a body to be involved and in charge of registration of political parties and regulating the operations of political parties. let that body be created out from INEC. Let there be a body that will be in charge of just election, the conduct of election, that will live with INEC. All they will do is conduct election for us. Then let there be another body created that will be in charge of post-election matters, electoral offences, arrest, prosecution of offenders, and so on. And also, there's also need to ensure that in the electoral process, let there be e-transmission electronically, not manually. Because the complaint of some people is that manual transmission gives room for manipulation of results. But electronic transmission lowers such manipulation to its barest minimum. Again, there's need for the Electoral Act to be amended, the Constitution also to be amended. Coming to the Constitution, Section 285, Subsection 5 of the Constitution need to be amended. And like I mentioned earlier, the 21-day rule for presentation of an election petition is too short. We need to amend it. We need to give room for more time, particularly if the recommendation to conduct election a year ahead, if handover year is 2027, for instance, conduct election in 2026, a year before the handover year, so that the issues of election petitions will be taken by the courts. And again, there is something that someone recommended recently, which of course was still part of the West panel report, that we need to change the pattern of election petition cases and copy models like the Kenyan model and other models. That will go a long way. One, to reduce the time spent in election petition cases. It will also lessen the burden of the courts. What is the Kenyan model vis-a-vis what we do in Nigeria? Under the Kenyan model, the contenders, the petitioners, are not dragging the other candidates of the other political parties and their parties to court. No. All they do is they will drag the electoral body to court and say that they have not conducted the election in compliance with the extant laws. For example, that a particular person who contested was not supposed to contest or did not win and was wrongly declared winner by the electoral body. Or that somebody gave a false information in his affidavit or document or form
to the electoral body.
And the electoral body ignored it or did not do anything about it and still went ahead and cleared the person. With all these things, then the tribunal will now summon the electoral body to come and justify what they did or answer to those allegations. For example, in the presidential election petition in Nigeria, all that Atiku and P2B needed to do was to drag INEC to court.
Yeah, but they also dragged them. They were
Yes,
part of the
and they dragged INEC and the other respondents. And you see, the respondents will file their own reply. The political parties will file their own. INEC will still file its own. The impression is given as if the battle is between the contending individuals that contested for a particular office, whereas what is being challenged is the way the election was conducted.
Yeah, but don't you think that the deployment of technology would take care of almost all of this? You did mention the Kenyan model.
Yes, the Kenyan model. That's what I was discussing.
Yes, and you
under the Kenyan model,
you understand that the Kenyan model is working because there is heavy deployment of technology in making sure that election and voters accreditation, counting, there's a back-end server that you could easily bring reports, and you see the number of people who got accredited, the number of people who got voted, and all of that. So there was heavy, in fact, there is the IREF issue that didn't really work in Nigeria, works in Kenya. People view this thing live. As people are voting, you are seeing the figures changing. You know, you could see the number of people. So the issue of whether votes were added or not added will be taken care of by technology.
Yes.
So when you go to court, there's lesser ingredients to prove that the election was either rigged or not.
Yes, you see, under the Kenyan model, the difference is that if you are the person that has been purportedly elected as governor of a state or president of this nation, excuse me, the burden lies on INEC to prove to the entire world that the process that brought you in was free and fair and was devoid of any interference of any sort.
Yeah, but my point
unlike what we have seen in Nigeria, where as part of a huge investment in the electoral process, the beavers machine and all that, there were still issues of manual transmission.
Yes, that's what I'm saying, because you did mention the issue of amendment of the Constitution,
yes,
and the Electoral Act.
Yes,
yes. So without the deployment of technology, relying solely on human effort to conduct election in this 21st century, we've seen even the NBA election, which you belong to, there's a heavy deployment of technology. You can even vote with your phone, and as the vote you will be seeing it counting.
Yes.
So the issue
that is exactly what we were saying. That's exactly what we were saying. That apart from streaming down the participants' personnel in the electoral petitions, the party is streaming the party that the way to go is deployment of technology.
Because the issue of 2023 election, actually, at the voting stage, it was okay. It was at the collection center that people had issue. And if there were technology to show, okay, this number of persons voted and they voted for this and that, the collection, the human issue that occurred at the collection center would not have been material.
Yes. The NBA election you mentioned, I was not in Lagos. I was outside Lagos. So I was driving to a particular place. I was in a vehicle, the driver was driving me, and I voted while on transit. You understand? And it was heat-free. It was transparent. Nigeria can replicate that. So that we'll do away with this issue of people voting and going home crying that their votes never counted. We saw instances in Abuja when some people gathered and were protesting that their votes must count. After they demonstrated and so on, another group came to say that to do a counter this thing. But those things will not be necessary. Even the international observers that came to witness and observe the elections, they came up with reports that did not give credit to the electoral body. They did not give 100% pass manipulation. They said that the elections were not fully free and fair. There were interferences and so on.
Okay, so Barizobia, what would be your suggestion, owing to the fact that the people who expect to change these laws are majorly the beneficiaries of what we are complaining about. Because that is the process that brought them, most of them, to power. So what would you suggest? Given the circumstance, that would they want to change, a situation that actually brought them to power?
Yes, you see, we know that part of the problem we have in this nation are the politicians that want to hold on to power no matter what happens. And then some of them try to manipulate the system to have their way. We have had instances where a person went through the primaries of a political party and came out successful, and at the end of the day his name is removed and another person's name submitted to INEC to be the candidate for that political party. And in a situation like that, he goes to court and the court will say, no, it's an internal affair of the party. No, my recommendation is, one, let the issue of affairs of political parties, so long as those affairs involve violation or breaches either of the 1999 Constitution as amended, or the Electoral Act 2022, or the constitution of the respective political party, or the electoral guidelines of the party, that anybody, whether you belong to that party or any other party, or you're just a Nigerian, you can go to court to challenge it.